The Kennedy Report, Chapter 6. 13,000 words ago, I was sent to an unnamed European country with 2 American friends who did their best to appropriate culture and fit in. Our goal was to calm an insurgency that threatened the local population and make it look heroic enough that the country would fall into America's pocket. Pretty normal stuff, it happens all the time. But then the locals had not only gone mad, but joined the insurgency, who turned out to be pirates, guarding the gold trove that frequented the country and was found everywhere. Along the way, I was saved by a religious leader who used the extremist nature of religion to draw them into a church. It was clear these normal farmers weren't normal. At least, not anymore. I fight many monsters along the way and eventually come to the church to thank the leader and find Ashleigh, a meek girl who's been impregnated while unconscious just like me. So the 3 of us plot an escape, until the real enemy showed themselves for the first time. The Karens, religious zealots who stop at nothing to get their way. The Karens and the pirates had been working together to take the girl, but why? Why do all this for one girl? I eventually reunite with an extremely hot man, and we spend all night blowing guys together. The girl had told me she was here for a spring break trip, and knew of a nearby Sephora that I could get my makeup from. I had lost the makeup earlier.
Forget your makeup or something?
So I was forced to kill the pirate captain and use his ass as a key to get to Sephora. At this point, my mission was high priority, get makeup. That's when we learned of the Karen site, a parasitic organism created by the will of Karens that can manipulate and control others to bend to their will. That must be how the villagers changed, and something the pirates thought were valuable. But now it was clear that the Karens were the enemy. Along the way, I meet the manager, who is a captive to spread their influence, getting them closer to the experimental makeup only Ashleigh and the manager had control over. And now, not even the Karens are the enemy, as Ashleigh's ties to Sephora run deeper than were originally told. A story of a disgraced heir, an incompetent twin, and corporate meddling will now in play. The Karens mutually destructed with Ash, who was in search of the makeup that would fix his body, and meant that the Karens no longer had the control they wanted. And now it was up to me to find Ashleigh and terminate my unexpected pregnancy, and hers if she still had it. One thing still irked me. Why didn't Ashleigh tell me any of this from the get-go? It was a very quiet trip when I learned that she meant a boat ride. She did tell me where we were headed, though. There was an oil rig off the coast of the country that harvested the rest of the materials they needed to make the cosmetics sold by Sephora, and said it was their plan to waste fossil fuels, driving up the price for it even more, while harboring a secret supply for themselves. How strange. For a European country, this plan was very American. And then it hit me. That's why the government sent me in to disrupt operations. It was never about the locals or the pirates or the American hostage. It was all about the money and keeping financial global domination, despite spending trillions on wars we don't even have, while our own citizens can't even get access to education or clean water, with some companies believing water isn't even a basic human right. Hadda decided she wanted to show off her new calves, and a fire in me burned, as her bottom surgery gave her better legs than I could ever hope to attain. She left me to my thoughts, and I calmly drifted towards the shore.
Women.
I was on the island, and everything would fall apart yet again. I get a call from the religious leader, and let him know that the manager I tried to save had been killed, as they had gone mad, and was mutated by the Karen site. He seemed unfazed, calling the manager small time, as there were replacements everywhere.
You're
I found that to be a weird statement. Very business for a religious leader to say. This first section is actually fun. I learned that turning the pillars doesn't let enemies approach. And I evaded the enemies and let the BBC kill them. That's a big black chain gun, for the record. I took some hits and moved on. And I ran a lot for most of the island, to be honest. I finally hate it. Despite not really caring one way or the other, I actually think I hate the island segment now. I get it. Somehow, I took a rocket despite being behind cover. So I just let them kill me and restarted. I actually got the links somehow with determination and sheer fucking will. I damaged the enemies with the explosion, which doesn't fucking kill anything in this mode for some reason. Professional might actually be trash. After making my way into a nearby factory building thing, I encounter a worker in the vertical sauna. No doubt put in there after asking for a raise for the third time. And I suddenly wish that Ashleigh worked here and did the exact same thing. Unfortunately, wishful thinking is not something that you can do properly on an island full of people trying to kill you. As soon as I walk through the next door, she's alive and well. Ashleigh is absolutely in this room. A couple of the workers notice that the camera is on, which is very normal, and realize I'm looking through it, which someone usually should be. So they decide to turn off the camera using a control box in the storage room?
Just hang in there, Ashleigh. Coming for you.
Okay. Well, at least I've got my target now. Before I move on, enjoy this, clip of me trying to progress against the automatically closing garage using as little ammo as possible. I go into some industrial buildings and eventually come across some poor miners with black lung that look like burnt gingerbread men. From a note left by none other than Luis, it seems these gingerbread men were supposed to be regenerating caretakers that rich, most likely white families could use instead of just taking care of the kids they've decided to have and have the money to do so with. The gingerbread men would run on a subscription service like a nanny, but instead of paying another human being, they would have something watch their kids that they couldn't control or fire at any given time. The gingerbread could stretch its arms across the room and make sure that the kids, or the objects that the kids had, was taken away from them real quick. It was also programmed to discipline the kids exactly the way a white person would. I'm able to evade them real easily, despite the fact that I have a large firearm in my hand, because the gingerbread is not programmed to recognize firearms as something dangerous for kids, much like the US government. I run past them too and come to a trash area with a crane. And then, another corrupted file. This time an hour long. It starts from the crane segment here, till the end of the bulldozer ride. And yes, it took that long. I did use the crane to pick up a couple guys and drop them, mainly the ones with weapons. And I ran past the last one. I sat outside Ashleigh's cage, and decided to find how to deal with the big guys. Turns out, certain body shards. It turns out certain body shots are unarmored and vulnerable, so I swiped them clean with a single shot and moved on. The way towards the key card was ripe with enemies, but I avoided them all and moved on, taking like one hit along the way. I unfortunately cannot save ammo against my favorite band, Weezer. It took 6 hand cannon shots to beat. I grab the ammo and head towards the radio tower, when I throw a grenade at some birds, despite how much I wanted to resist. I get some cash and a grenade. I collect the herb up top, trigger the cutscene, and leave, heading back to Ashleigh's cell, taking 0 hits along the way. And I freed her. Wait, is that a fucking pee hole? Hold up. I've never seen this before. Is that a pee hole? It looks like a plate or something. It's not filled with food that has to be pee. Anyway, more stuff happens, and I run past as many as possible, but the button room fucking sucks. Head plagas are literally the worst enemy in the game because it's a guaranteed 2-shot, even if you don't hit the head. I was at this area for a bit to conserve ammo, which in hindsight was fruitless, but avoided the enemies coming in and moved on. I give in to the intrusive thoughts and knock Ashleigh off a fucking cliff. Unfortunately, we both made it. I play off the attempted murder by calling her ass fat.
I knew you'd be fine if you landed on your butt.
You...
And then run away from the spiky band geeks.
Let's go.
What is that thing?
And then comes the lava boulder room. I keep Ashleigh far behind and rush around, doing the boulder step myself. When I open the door, I call Ashleigh forward. And instead of running, of course, she gets captured off screen, causing me to waste several bullets and herbs to progress just because I hate this room and wanted to move forward. And then here comes the boulder section, which was most of the recording that got fucked. I failed the challenge here. A lot. I'm not even going to try and play it off since I don't have the footage. I'm going to be real with you. I failed. I can't even prove I did, but I won't hide it. So there's one big issue. I need a guaranteed 3 bullets for the truck to progress. No alternative. I had a total of 11 bullets, which is fine, except there are so many enemies who jump on the truck. That's fine. I can get ammo from them. There's so many. Guess what? I did not get a single bullet at all. And I reached the lever portion with 3 bullets. I used 1 to move forward, ignore the boxes, and pull the lever. And I run back to Ashleigh before she gets hit. Except, I didn't make it in time. All I need to get a checkpoint was to jump down the ladder and it would save. Nope. So I do it again. This time it works. The enemies walk around me, and the lift takes us up. But I reloaded the checkpoint to despawn them. Here's the problem. I have 2 bullets. I can use one on the enemies and one on the final truck segment. Guess what? I went at it for so long, even allowing myself to use my knife after wasting both bullets, since the game forces me to use ammo. And I got so close, even dying while turning around to fire at the truck twice. It was over. I'd have to sell my guns after reloading a checkpoint, and then I'd just have 6 magnum bullets extra that might be enough. I even used the special rocket launcher that I had carried over from the previous round, like the New Game Plus, and all it did was kill Ashleigh. So I reloaded before the bulldozer and did it all again. I allowed myself to use the knife and pushed through with 6 bullets total. I promised myself that as payment, I wouldn't pick up any ammo dropped during this cheat. But none was dropped anyway. And after a cutscene, I stopped my recording, waited for 15 minutes before trying to start a new one, and then my Xbox console couldn't load any app besides the game. I quit every app, finally got into the hard drive, and saw another blank file that was corrupted. Thanks, Union Shine. You fake-ass bitch. I was not having fun with this challenge at this point. I should have just started with all my ammo from the get-go. I did not expect to not get any drops for it, since they were appearing like crazy when I didn't even use the gun. My attaché case was quite literally filled by the handgun, shotgun, rifle, and TMP ammo, because they appear everywhere, even in random crates, despite me having none of those in my inventory. It makes no sense. This game isn't suited for challenges without some mods, unless you're doing a handgun only. I guess I can't complain about that, because why would a game be built around that? After the bulldozer ended, I encountered the religious leader. I don't know how he got here, but it's good to see him. Apparently, Ashleigh was still pregnant, and the being inside was swayed when the religious leader said he'd take him to see the manager. That makes no sense. The only person who would want to see the manager is a Karen. Even I had to resist the urge to follow him when he presented the manager as a goal. That could only mean the things growing in us were Karen sites in a purer form. It would cause generational trauma if they could breed. And that's when getting it out of me finally became my top priority. Screw Sephora. Screw the government agenda. I can get makeup at Walgreens. I had almost nothing to my name, and a lot of enemies left, so I pushed forward and take an elevator up. What happened next muddied the whole tale.
Been a long time.
Normally, I don't mind being assaulted by a buff blonde boy, but this was one I knew, and during an unskippable cutscene. These segments used to be skippable, actually. Just pop from one QTE, skip the cutscene to the next QTE, and to the next. But I think the UHD regressed in that aspect.
What do you want?
I asked him how he got mixed up in all this, and Jackstrap said he wanted the experimental makeup too, in order to fix his face. Although he was going behind Sephora's back to do so. When I saw him in my vision, he was kneeling for the religious leader, but here he said he was working for Sephora. Is he a triple agent, or are the leader and Sephora one of the same? I had no time to think, only to stabby stab, but in the front this time.
All for Umbrella's sake. Umbrella? Almost let it.
However, Jackstrap pinned me down with penetrative intent, and it wasn't until Hada unloaded on his knife, a surprisingly tame sentence to say by Spud standards, that I was saved. I was saved, but now Hada's involvement didn't add up. I asked her what her plan was, and she refused to say. Finally, I got a call from the religious leader, confirming my suspicions. He knew Jack was after me, which means he sent him. So if Jack and Sephora is his pretend boss, this man was undoubtedly Sephora's CEO and Ashleigh's father. He said he was going to introduce me to the store branch's IT department, and oh god, it looked as horrible as I expected. I had no ammo going into this encounter, and I thought my handcannon ammo would be enough, until I remembered I needed ammo to shoot the door lights to progress. So guess what? I sold my fully upgraded broken butterfly and upgraded its power to max again. Now, with 9 bullets, I went on. The IT guy looked how I expected, and I used as little ammo as possible to move forward. On one attempt, I even got a collateral with his head and the light. I entered the boss fight with a few extra rounds for my now weaker Magnum. And guess what? It wasn't enough. I fully unloaded my ammo into it, but its diet of chips and grease made it harder to hit with bullets. So I cheated again and gave it some knife swings. Just for good measure, I let it hit me once right before the last strike. Okay, this wasn't purposeful. It pissed me off, but I just wanted to progress. I had no ammo and no merchant, and 3 of the most densely populated areas left to clear, starting now. I had nothing to clear this area out, so I took a hit, jumped down the ladder, hiding myself in the minigame room, and that's when I had a plan. I'd buy an ammo upgrade, use that ammo on enemies, pray for more ammo, and upgrade the capacity again. Well, here's the kicker. I did all that and didn't record it. I didn't even get any ammo from it either. But right now, we're approaching our thrilling, monotonous, and miserable conclusion to a challenge I've already failed at least 3 times already.